There we go. So, welcome back to part 2 of the Foxy podcast, as well as part 2 of the High Stakes podcast with Adam Ace.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
as we abruptly ended part 1, we are going to
my
continue.
apologies for that.
No, that is no problem at all. We're going to try and continue straight from where we left off. And
Where did we leave off?
You were talking about The Arrival, the movie.
Oh yes, that was a fantastic film. Yeah.
So you were trying to sell me on this thing.
I was trying to sell you on this movie.
She's a linguistics expert.
Linguistics expert. She gotta try and communicate with these aliens, and who's in this movie? Jeremy Renner's in it. The one who plays Lois Lane in the newer Superman films, and Forrest Whitaker's in it. And they are a fantastic film. Like, it is a fantastic film. I absolutely love it. Have you seen Passengers with Jennifer Lawrence?
No, I'm told it's good, though.
Because I would put it in the same category as that.
Okay.
I'd put it in the same category as Passengers. It's a very, very, very good film. Yeah, for sure. Have you watched anything new lately that you haven't watched before?
Yes. I watched the documentary on Netflix, Don't Fuck With Cats.
I haven't seen that yet.
Very interesting. Like, I would suggest going and watching it. Like,
yeah, because I've watched a few I've watched a few documentaries on Netflix, but I haven't.
It was one of those things. Like, I had just seen, it's just a little title seat, title screen. I'm like, don't fuck with cats. Like, I seen the trailer, and then I was just like, nah. Then I just fobbed off. But then I was like, I'm bored. I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna start this, see what I think. Couldn't pull away from it. Like, it just, it was very interesting.
I'll give you a great one actually that me and the missus watched. We had to binge it because we almost became obsessed with it. It was so good.
Yeah.
And it was The Staircase. That's what it's called. It's a very, very good one, right? So it's basically this independent film crew who does documentaries got permission to follow a guy and his defense attorney team during a trial. Okay. But they got permission to do it maybe 3 weeks after the crime happened, or right up until it ended.
Okay.
Right. I won't give any spoilers or anything on it. But basically, he's accused of murdering his wife. Okay. So the prosecution is saying that he stood over her with a blowpoke for a fireplace and beat her to death in a stairwell. Okay. He's claiming she fell down the stairs.
Okay. So how are we supposed to believe if she is being beaten? Clearly evident like that it's a blowpoke and all that stuff.
You would think that, but no. They do a very, very good job of showing evidence for both sides and making you doubt it on both sides. And after watching it, I myself, herself as well, and then 2 or 3 other people that we've shown it to, fully convinced he's totally innocent.
I'll have to watch it.
He actually did fall down the stairs.
I have to watch that and give you a follow-up on that one.
Oh, dude, it's so fascinating. Like, it's weird because her, like, some of the wounds that she has, it looks like she got beaten to death with something.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, you've probably watched crime shows yourself. You probably, you're a smart person, right? If I have something like a lot of liquid, like blood, on the end of a weapon, and I swing it, it's gonna
blood splatter. Yeah, blood splatter analysis.
There's no blood spatter. No blood spatter above the knee in this stairway.
Ooh.
So it's very. Wait, what?
yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Definitely gonna have to watch that.
That's very good.
I'm currently watching through The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. I want to. It's on my list.
I love it so far.
It's supposed to be fantastic. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. So like I've had it on my list. I've been dying to watch it, but I want to have like maybe 2 days where I can just binge the whole thing and just watch it. Because I don't want to watch it like an episode here and there. I want to actually sit down and give it my full attention and watch the whole thing. So like, I'll wait to have like 2 days and just do it.
They're still releasing episodes, so they didn't release the full lot in one go.
That's it, yeah.
So kind of smart on their part. Then that means that people will come back and actually watch it.
Keep watching it, yeah. Because if you just release the whole lot, because we do live in an age now where everything, like, everyone wants instant gratification. So everyone wants, like, and it's funny because I've done so much work on movies and TV shows and stuff, that you see the amount of effort that goes into making one scene in a show. Like one scene on Vikings or Game of Thrones can take 4 or 5 days or even a week to film. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then if it's and then, yeah, you've been there, and then like on like there was one thing in Game of Thrones that literally took 4 weeks to film, and it was literally maybe 30 seconds of airtime.
Yeah.
And then as soon as people watch it, they're like, "When's the next one?" Like, give us a minute. You know what I mean? It took us fucking ages to film this shit. Give us a minute. People want the instant gratification, so it's smart that they'll put out content that is like, here's a whole season, binge watch it, and then the next thing they put out is like, here's an episode.
We'll give you the first 4 episodes, and then you'll have to wait. Like, we'll release the next ones over the next few weeks. That's fine.
That's it, exactly.
Because you got your taster.
Yeah.
See if you like it, and then you have to wait for more. So
there you go.
It's very good. But I mean, like, just briefly, like, touching on that. Yes, we've both been involved in whether it be extra work or acting roles or stunt work. So like very obviously you're probably gonna breeze through
I won't.
Like you did your career. But
no.
Sorry, that wasn't a jab.
How's that career of yours going? Asshole.
I never had a career to begin with, so what are you saying?
Oh,
no, but like I know the story, but for listeners at home, like listening, how did you get involved into the stunt work and being an extra?
Okay, so I was unemployed at the time. I was, giving wrestling my all, and basically a friend of mine, whose mother was a producer on Vikings, offered me a job as an extra. So I was like, okay, great, yeah, I'll fucking take it. That'd be awesome. So I got a job as an extra on Vikings, and then Rachel Walker, who was the old announcer for OTT back in the day, she was a stunt woman on Vikings, and the stunt coordinator needed more stunt people, and she recommended me because I did wrestling, and said, hey, I know a guy who can fall. He's very quick to learn these things. Maybe you can look at him. So he brought me out to what was known as the stunt shed for a trial day, basically. I went out for maybe 6 or 7 hours, and we went through some of the basics of sword fighting and sword and shield and falls and all this sort of stuff. And he said, okay, we'll let you know. And I said, okay, great. And then maybe a week or so went by, and I got a call to say, hey, we're going to do what's called an on-set trial. And I was like, okay, what's that? He's like, basically, we're going to bring you out for 2 days in a row, and you're going to be a stuntman for 2 days, and we're going to give you a smaller task, and we see how you get on. If we like it, we'll give you a contract. I was like, okay, great, happy days, let's do it. Went out, did it, had a great first day, fantastic first day, god-awful second day. Like, that second day was probably one of the worst days I've ever had on set, ever. It was fucking awful. I was trying to breeze past it like my career, but let me see. There was a moment where we had a scene where we had to basically stand in like a straight line because we're like a Viking army, right? So we have our swords and our shields and stuff, and basically anything that involves somebody falling, somebody running really fast on unsteady ground, or anything like that, usually has to be stunts. Anything that's done with an actor has to be stunts. Anything that's done with an animal has to be stunts. Because you have to be trained for these things. So the stunt that they had a few of us doing was we had to hold this stick, long stick, maybe 6 feet long,
Pike.
And it had shields, like a pike, and it had shields done to it. So, with the magic of CGI, it would look like there was people standing there, and this horse was going to come out of the forest and jump over the stick, and thanks to the magic of CGI, it was going to look like it was going to knock a bunch of people back. So we were to just drop the stick when the horse jumped over it, and that was it. Then what they did was, because there was obviously gaps in our little blocks of people, then what they did was they got rid of the horses and they moved everyone down into the gaps, to stump people anyway. And then they're 3, 2, 1, action. You act, and then they say now, and then you act as if the horse is running through you, and you go fucking flying. Yeah. Then when they do the CGI stuff, they just overlap one over the other. So we had done this a couple of times over maybe 2 hours. I'd done big high bumps, big high flatbacks, and the camera guy was always, like, if I'm standing here, the camera guy was always at my 8 o'clock. Okay?
Yeah.
And he's been there for the last 7 takes, essentially, and me doing the same thing. He's seen where I'm landing. He's the one filming me doing the fall. And it's like, all right, cool. And then one random take. They always say the curse of one more. As soon as the director says one more for safety, something bad's going to go down. Yeah. Every time. Every time. And Laszlo was his name. He's actually a good friend of mine now. He was the camera guy at the time. He happened to move directly behind me, and I didn't see him. 3, 2, 1, action. I leap into the air, do the bump, come right down on top of him and a $500,000 camera and his leg. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm laying there and I literally went, oh fuck, I'm done. My stunt career is not going to last very long at all. But it turned out, no, it was his fault. He didn't tell anyone he was moving. So I didn't get any trouble for that. And this was back when I started stunts, because when I started stunts for about a year, I didn't have pads. I didn't have a back pad. I didn't have any fucking stunt knee pads.
So you're fully relying on your wrestling training.
Fully relying on my wrestling training for falling on the ground, leaping in the air and shit like that. No pads or anything like that. Even for the sword fights, when someone hit me in the back with a sword, I had to just take it on the back because I didn't have a back pad. Because A, I didn't know where to get it, and B, I didn't know how long I was going to be doing this for. I didn't want to invest the money in it because I didn't know I was only going to do it for 2 or 3 days, you know? So, but that mentality went off about a year, which was pretty stupid on my part. But anyway, I'd done the fall anyway, landed on Laszlo, thought I was in trouble. No trouble. I was like, right, okay. So at this point, the nerves started to build. As the day progressed, we were getting muddier and muddier and muddier and muddier in the field. And then there was this scene that we had to film towards the end of the battle. And I was one of the Vikings, and one of the Saxons was killing me. That's the way the scene started. He already had a sword in me. He just pulled it out of me, and I collapsed to the ground in like a splash of mud. Excuse me. But there was, I was in a lane of bodies, and there was 2 other lanes. So basically like 3 lanes parallel to each other. But in between the lanes, there'd be sets of horses running up and down. And again, thanks to the magic of camera work and CGI, it would look like the horses were trampling over the bodies.
Yeah.
And one of the bodies was actually one of the lead actors. So they had to be very careful of him. And basically what happened was we'd done this maybe 5 or 6 times. And one of the horses had decided, I don't want to run in a straight line anymore. Because fuck doing that. Sorry, I know I'm cursing a lot on your show, but my show is X-rated. I don't know if yours is or not.
It's fine. It's fine. I want it to be as comfortable as possible.
There you go. And the horse decided, fuck this, I'm not going in a straight line anymore. So as he got to roughly around where I was, he decided to veer left and ran over me. So I'm laying on the ground, eyes closed, thinking I'm dead. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this unmerciful plunge on my leg. So what happened was the horse had actually got his hoof and come down on my shin. Thankfully, because of the squishiness of the ground and how wet my legs were from the mud, he had landed on it and slid off. So I was left with a gnarly bruise, a gnarly scar, and like nothing broke. Thank fuck for that. But yeah, it was a very scary moment because then what happened was they yelled "cut" instantly, which I didn't know what was going on because again I'm laying there with my eyes closed. Felt it. Opened my eyes to see the horse, and the horse started circling around me. So at any moment, he could have literally stood on me and just killed me at any moment. And the other guy, Keith Ward, who was the guy who pulled the sword at me, he was like one of the head stunt guys at the time. He charged at the horse and kind of stood over me to kind of protect me from the horse. And the stunt coordinator came in, the assistant stunt coordinator came in, the director came running in. I was like, oh, fuck, this is not attention I need right now. I do not need this attention right now. Me thinking for some reason this is my fault.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need this attention right now. Fuck no, I'm screwed. And they come in, you okay? And the old mentality from wrestling, no matter what, you say yes, you're okay, you're fine.
I'm good.
So I stood up, I had blood, didn't notice at the time, I had blood pouring down my leg. And they were like, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. What happened? Is everything okay? Are we going again? What's going on? And me saying that was like to them being like, oh, okay, he's a tough bastard. He's okay. He's good. But in my head, I was like, that's what I have to say. You know? Yeah. Again, toxic masculinity at its best. I have to say this, you know? So I had said it anyway. We moved on. And then we were done for the day. I went home. Thought I was done. I was never going to get a call back again. And then a month later, I got a call to say, hey, we're doing some battle stuff. We want to bring you on as a stuntman. I was like, great, happy days. And he said, right, well, the battles are going to take place in about 3 months. I was like, right, okay, I'll mark it down on my calendar. And then he said, well, would you be free to come out a couple of times a week and we'll actually train you as a proper stuntman? We'll actually bring you through the works of longsword, short sword, broadsword, short sword and shield, archery. We'll do the whole lot with you. And I was like, okay, yeah, fucking great. I had to basically get a crash course in stage combat in like a 2-year course in like 6 months, essentially.
Mm.
So I ended up doing it twice because I did it once and then I went back to him and I said, like in our off period, and I said, look, if you don't mind, I'd like to do it again, just because I feel like we went over it so quickly. I'd be afraid I'd forget some of it. Can we go back over it again? He said, yeah. So I did it. I did the 2-year course twice in a year, essentially, which was a lot of fun. And I got to do a lot of cool shit thanks to that, because I got to do sword fights with fucking actors. I got to fight with, I got to do my fight scene with Edge, which was a lot of fun. I've gotten to fall off buildings. I got set on fire. I've got fucking loads of cool shit on my belt now at this point. But now my body's decided, I don't want to do anything like this anymore. Why do you hate me? every now and again, my body will just say, why do you hate me? Stop doing this stuff. And then something like COVID will happen and I'll take weeks or months off. My body will feel fantastic, and then I'll take my first bump again. And my body's like, why do you hate me?
Yeah.
Why do you hate me?
How dare you? You betrayed me.
Yeah, I thought you loved me.
But I mean, like, with that, like, because you went and did that, like, it afforded you the opportunity, like with getting yourself out of Ireland, it affords you the chance to work these different places and do that. Whereas with this, by doing the extra bit of training and having that, even though like it wasn't the best mentality to have at the time, the toxic masculinity, but you were smart enough to have like the sense, like, right, I want to make sure I know what I'm doing. It affords you the chance to do the likes of Arrow, like there you
go.
For comic fans, like that's like a fucking like wow. I get to take part in a comic book show. Like
oh, dude,
like,
and he's one of my favorite superheroes as well, which is like a big thing for me. Like,
yeah,
I have 2 Green Arrow tattoos, and I'm getting a third one as well, which is really funny. But like it was a huge thing for me to be able to get on that, and that all came from the recommendation of the stunt coordinator on Vikings as well. Because he was talking to a guy who was doing something, and he said, hey, do you know any guys that I can use for this specific thing? And he named 3 people. We all auditioned for it, and I got it. And I didn't even know what I was auditioning for. Hadn't a clue. I just had to do a fight sequence, and that was it. I did it. And he said, right, we're going to get you on a plane. We're going to bring you here. This is what you're doing. I was like, wait, I'm doing Arrow. I was like, is this the CW's Arrow? He was like, yeah. I was like, total no selling it. No selling the shit out of it. Got back to my hotel room. As soon as I got to my hotel room, I was like, fuck yeah. It was absolutely fantastic. But I mean, again, like, all that is thanks to the wrestling career that I've had. So I often I obviously don't compare myself to The Rock, but like The Rock went through wrestling. He had a fantastic wrestling career, and then left and then did acting in movies and stuff. I had a wrestling career, still have a wrestling career, I should say. I have a wrestling career, and it was going very, very successfully up until this COVID crap. But thankfully, I was able to, at the same time, branch it off and do stunt stuff, which, has allowed me to rub shoulders with like some pretty impressive people. But some of the people on that list are people like Edge and Shawn Michaels, who then I was able to try to use that connection to shape and mold the path of the wrestling that I was doing. And thanks to those 2 interactions, I've been able to adapt my style in wrestling now to something that is way more suited to me, something that's way more fitting to me, and something that is easier for me and will give me more longevity as well. So even if I don't make millions of dollars at it, I could do it for a long, long time and make some good money at it. You know what I mean? Like it's super handy now. Super handy now for me.
Yeah, by being you've learned by having those interactions, it's made you a smarter worker in the sense that like you're smarter in how you present yourself, smarter how you do your character, smarter how you just wrestle in general. So therefore, in turn, gives your body much more longevity to do that. But you still have the option that it's like, right, I don't have to rely on wrestling. I have this that I can do as well if need
be. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because like I'm assuming, I don't know, I can't speak for Rachel, but Rachel probably wouldn't have recommended me for it if she didn't think I was in some way decent at wrestling, I suppose. So like the little bit of success I had early on in wrestling got me the job in stunts, and then the success I got in stunts increased my success in wrestling, which is really funny, and how they kept overlapping like that.
Yeah, it's weird how it works.
Yeah,
but again, it comes back to like the comic book and wrestling connection. They just have so much crossover. It's
Oh
actually
yeah.
unbelievable.
Oh, dude, it's absolutely ridiculous the connection that they have and like the storytelling aspect of it and the piece by piece. Like it's you would almost swear that the guy who invented wrestling took it from comic books. You would swear he probably did.
But like larger than life characters, like
That's it.
outlandish storylines, like something that like also like outlandish like outfits and extravagant like intricate things.
Mm.
All lend itself to comic books.
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, like the most iconic figure is Superman wears his underwear on the outside of his trousers. You know what I mean? And it's a very lucha libre kind of thing. You know what I mean? People do it now. They just wear the underwear, or sometimes you'll see people with the white tights and the red fucking trunks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very iconic look, and you can see how it stemmed from comic books into wrestling. Because like, it's funny because I've had lengthy conversations with people about the history of wrestling lately, and you know, it's funny. Like, I've talked to two wrestlers recently, and I'm going to ask you now the same question out of curiosity. Do you know how professional wrestling as it is came about?
It was
It's really funny.
yeah, it was. I was looking at something like this before as well. It did start out as circus, like a circus sideshow, but
That's
then
it.
in order to not only make money but also to really make it somewhat legitimate, they turned it into the entertainment aspect.
Hmm. So there was a guy who there was basically these two guys, right? So one guy ran this little circus kind of thing. It wasn't exactly a circus, but it was similar to what we know as a circus now. And he had people fighting on it, and he used to take bets on people fighting. And he met this other guy who ran a fighting promotion, and he would hold wrestling matches, but there were shoot wrestling matches, and he'd have maybe two matches on the card, and one match could last for 4 or 5 hours because there were shoot fights. And if you're in a shoot fight, you try to pin someone to the ground for 3 seconds, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
So the two of these guys went to each other's shows and ended up having a meeting together and went, "Oh, we could actually like help each other out here a little bit." So the circus guy said, "Well, how about I use some of your guys because they're known as legitimate fighters, and you take some of my aspects of it, and then we can actually make a lot of money." So it turned out what would happen was they would hold legitimate shoot fights in, let's say, a town. Let's say in Dublin, they'd hold a legitimate shoot fight, and he'd make his normal money off it. But then whoever won the legitimate shoot fight would then win the worked fight at the circus.
Yeah.
And everyone would then keep making more money off it. And then eventually someone got the nerve to be able to say, well, tell you what, how about I do all of it together myself. But like I was fascinated by that, as how it's like there was the gimmick aspect of it and the shoot aspect of it at the same time.
Yeah.
And then someone just went, oh, hey, let's put these two slices of bread together and make a sandwich.
Smart business.
Very smart business. And like championship belts, how championship belts became a thing is like they used to get a sash with a badge on it every time you won. And when your sash got full, they'd put it around your waist and give you a new sash.
Yeah.
And then that sash eventually became a belt. I think that's like the progression of that to what it is now is insane.
I know.
It's insane.
Because they're now gigantic things that are like outlandishly like big like pieces of metal.
Yep.
As opposed to what they were at the start.
Oh yeah, tiny little things, and now they're like you look at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship right now. It's just a giant logo, but that's a different story.
We won't get into that one.
We won't get into that. Let's not get into that. No, we're not going into that.
Yeah, you kind of have to stop yourself.
No, we're not going to go into that. Let's keep talking about comic books.
yeah. Like now, obviously, you've said it. Like, Green Arrow is one of your favorites. You have tattoos. I'm kind of similar. Like, I'm big into Batman. I have a Batman tattoo. But like, But what all right. Here's the question that some people do end up. Right, as a kid, were you Marvel or DC?
Oh, as a kid, I was DC. For sure. Batman was one of the first superheroes I kind of got invested in, without a doubt. Then it was went from Batman to the Flash. They were the first two superheroes that I was very much, I need to read these comic books. Then from there, it went to Green Arrow, and then I learned about Justice League, and I started, I understood what Superman was and Wonder Woman and all this sort of stuff. Excuse me, and I just kind of escalated from there. It wasn't until I got until maybe early 20s where I actually gave Marvel a chance. I was about 20 when I picked up an old Iron Man comic. And I started reading it. I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And then I started investigating what different superheroes were there. And I went then from Iron Man. I never really got on board with Captain America. I don't know why. I think it's just because he's so star spangled awesome. But like I love the idea of him. You can make him any other country in the world, and I love it. It's just for some reason when he's Captain America, it's just fucking ridiculous. But his story is absolutely fascinating. But then when I started investigating all the Marvel characters, I was like, oh, Iron Man's pretty cool. Ooh, Hulk is really cool. Hawkeye's really cool. Hawkeye and Arrow are very similar. This is really good. And then I got into the world of, because the way, like, Ireland's so fucking small, and back then we didn't have internet when we were kids, so you couldn't go online and look at the theories of what would happen if Hawkeye and Green Arrow fought. Like now you can, but back then you couldn't. So all you have is your imagination with it. Exactly. And a lot of my friends back then they weren't big superhero fans, so I couldn't even talk to them about it. So it was just all in my head, But yeah, no, for me, I was definitely a DC kid. What about you? What were you? Were you DC or Marvel?
For myself, like obviously, like Batman the animated series, just like for anyone that was born in the 90s and watched it, then a fantastically made show, just fantastic.
I watched it like 3 weeks ago.
I did myself, like I watched it about a month ago. But like in terms of like the animation style and the content of the show, then especially for a kid, it was incredibly dark for a kid's show.
Yeah.
But just somehow like managed to grab the attention of so many people. Yeah. But in saying that, I was actually a Marvel head as a kid.
Really?
And that was because of the TV shows, the cartoons.
I knew I didn't like you for a reason.
But I mean, like, think of it. Back in the 90s, you had a wide assortment. It wasn't just like Batman there. You had Spider-Man, you had X-Men, you had Iron Man, you had the Hulk, you had Fantastic Four. You had a bunch of these like animated shows, and were done extremely well at the time also.
Well, that's funny because like I when I was a kid, I remember the Batman animated series, and I remember the X-Men animated series. There were the two animated series that I remember. And I was actually a fan of X-Men. This is going to be very funny for you. I remember X-Men. I remember being a fan of X-Men, but I didn't know X-Men was Marvel.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was.
As a kid, you only think they're from the same, like, you don't know companies.
That's it. You don't know companies, and you don't even think of, well, Batman's in their world and they're in Batman's world, and you don't think about anything like that. So I didn't know that they were a thing. I just thought it was a cool cartoon.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think The Simpsons was in Batman's world. You know what I mean? But yeah, I remember the animated series for X-Men, but I didn't see any other. I didn't get like there was nothing like that on TV that I had where I could see other animated shows like Batman and I was gonna say Wolverine, but X-Men.
Don't know, but like like it's just weird because like obviously now like I find that DC appeals to me more but I'm not afraid to go onto the other side for Marvel because they can produce some really like gripping stories as well as
for sure. I mean, like if you look at the track record, DC's movies, the older movies are very good. The older movies are fantastic. Newer movies,
no, not as much. It's very questionable.
And yeah, I'll put a question mark over them because you can argue that. Like everyone, like prime example, everyone gives Batman versus Superman a hard time. And they give it a hard time for two reasons. A, Ben Affleck. But let's be honest, no one expected Ben Affleck to be good at anything. That man should just kill himself. Like that's just like he's an awful human being and he's an awful actor. And he the only role he ever gets to like I'm gonna sound like an absolute asshole now, but the only role he ever plays well is the accountant because he has to play an autistic person. It's the only role he plays well, and I just don't like him. But you know what? If he's gonna play Batman, fine. I'll bite the bullet. Let him be Batman. Let's see how he does with it. He was a fine Batman. He was a terrible Bruce Wayne.
Really?
Yes.
Whereas I'd be the like in regards to what came previously, like
Yeah.
George Clooney is a terrible fucking Batman. He's
Yeah.
a decent Bruce Wayne, but a
Yeah.
terrible Batman. Val
Terrible.
Kilmer is a terrible Batman and a good Bruce Wayne.
Hmm.
Whereas Christian Bale is a very good Bruce Wayne, but in Batman Begins he's great as Batman. Dark Knight, the Growling kind of put. That's the only
The
critique about it
voice,
is the
yeah. So
voice.
he's a good Batman, but his voice is not right.
Yeah.
And then in The Dark Knight Rises, he took the growl out of his voice a little bit, and he was a better Batman.
Yeah.
Like he is probably the second best Batman Bruce Wayne, for sure. For me, Michael Keaton's the best.
Oh yeah, well doubt. Like I won't dispute
Like Michael Keaton walked the line of Bruce Wayne and Batman perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think Christian Bale comes a very close second. Everyone else is one or the other. And I feel like Ben Affleck was a good Batman because he didn't talk much as Batman, which was good. And he looked like a very interesting, cool Batman. Like he was jacked up. He had a really weird suit and stuff. He was a very interesting Batman, different take on him, which was fine. As soon as he opened his mouth, then you just lost interest. But the movie itself was fine. It was actually if you watch it back now, it's actually a very good Batman movie. The only problem with it is the character arc of Lex Luthor and the Martha situation.
Yeah.
They're the only two problems with that whole film.
I find that with Batman v Superman, there was a few things going into it that was just wrong. Like, they jumped the gun 2.5 years beforehand, like by advertising that this film was coming out. So 2.5 years of built up expectations from fans. There's no way that it's kind of like with Game of Thrones. It's not going to satisfy everyone, no matter how you do it.
That's the thing.
They also ruined potential big surprises for the film itself by revealing not only the villain, but also revealing Wonder Woman. Don't know, which was just that could have been your biggest saving grace for it.
That film was to have her as a shock factor. Yeah.
Yes, I mean look at Marvel Civil War. That film was gonna be good regardless, but then the ice on the cake was when they revealed Spider-Man. It's oh my god, I have to go see it.
Holy shit, son. Yeah, now I need to see the Spider-Man kid. And I think they dropped the ball with that. Again, the movie itself was good if they had just presented it properly. You know what I mean? It's like getting, you can get a steak and chips, right? The steak and chips can be good, but it can look like a disaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The steak can still be lovely, the chips can still be lovely, but it look like it's total shit. You can get one that looks great and then you eat it and it's total shit.
It's terrible. Yeah.
You got to get the combination right. And I feel like they had a good combination, they just presented it wrong.
Yes.
The Justice League film, again, I thought it was a good film. It was a very good premise. They went with it well. My only flaw with that film was A, when Ben Affleck spoke, and B, I'm not gonna let up on him. I just can't stand him. And B, it felt like they kind of rushed it. It felt like they were on their heels because of Marvel. But I mean, you're already 20 movies behind. You don't need to rush now. Just take your time, do it.
But that also harks back to Batman v Superman because that was also one of their big flaws because they were using that film to set up several big things coming down the line, as opposed to taking the Marvel formula and waiting and playing the long game. Don't know.
That's it. They were like, oh, let's just tease everything in one go. Here's a potential Aquaman. Here's a potential Wonder Woman. Here's a potential Cyborg. Here's a potential Flash. I was like, well, how about you just do one fucking movie for each person and have them all come together in the end?
But not only teasing it, they fucking showed them all. They revealed all of them in that one film. Even if it was just a little quest, they still fucking revealed everything instead of just Now, granted, if they hadn't done that, we wouldn't have gotten Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Who I find has done a very good, done a justice and made Aquaman a very more credible
cool character.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
because
like
again, everyone gives Aquaman shit, and I don't understand why. Because if you watch the animated Aquaman movie based off of this, like the one that the Jason Momoa movie was based off of, it goes into more depth and it's fucking fantastic. But it shows Aquaman for what he really is, and that is he is as powerful as Superman.
yeah,
He doesn't have lasers coming up his ass. That's all.
yeah,
You know, but
he's
he's still
incredibly
as
strong.
powerful. He's pretty fucking cool. And Jason Momoa brought that credibility, like you said, back to Aquaman.
Yeah,
But
like
I feel like now, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say unfortunately, I feel like DC is now trying to recreate. They're now recreating the same issue they had with, like the Marvel had with Spider-Man. So Marvel had the three Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, then they had the Garfield Spider-Man. Now they have Tom
Andrew Garfield. No, sorry, freaking Tom Holland. Tom Holland.
Yeah, they had Andrew Garfield, and now they have Tom Holland. So they've had to reboot Spider-Man a bunch of times. They did the original four, which was all in the same universe, but they've had to change Batman a couple of times. But it was still the same universe.
Yes.
Then they've done the Dark Knight ones, which is the same universe. So let's call it two universes of Batman, which is fine. Now they've done the Justice League ones, okay, which is the Ben Affleck ones.
Yes.
Instead of just replacing the actor, they're now rebooting the whole Batman franchise again.
Yeah,
with the Batman movie.
With Robert Pattinson.
Now, have you heard the rumors about this movie?
Depends. Now, I know it's meant to be a trilogy. I know that they're focusing more on his detective work, and this is, I think, year 2. They're aiming
it's supposed to be a year. Yeah, they're aiming for year 2. Supposedly, Robert Pattinson is not working out for it.
I don't like the idea of that at all.
I actually don't mind it. I don't mind it, provided he's not fat. I don't mind it because, yeah, I understand. Like a lot of Batman's mystique comes from his suit. He doesn't need to be ripped and jacked.
No, that's fine.
He just
but
needs to be big.
But you don't want him turning up like a fucking twig.
Exactly.
And the suit is doing all the job.
So supposedly he's a bigger dude, but he's not like he's going to be a muscular guy, but he's not going to be shredded. Because let's be honest, it's not a very realistic image of what Bruce Wayne would be. Because Bruce Wayne wouldn't have time to get shredded. If he's playing Batman at nighttime and playing Bruce Wayne during the day, he wouldn't have time to get shredded. So it kind of brings a more realistic body to it, which I'm not too bad on. I'll have to see it first to kind of see
like for me, I'm holding my reservations because like I don't want to fall into the same trap that a lot of people tend to do, because I did it with Heath Ledger when I originally seen the first promotional image of him as Joker. I was instantly like, "Who the fuck is this?" And that's not Joker. But watch the film.
Yeah.
Whereas, I learned from my mistake.
I've never done that with a character. I've never actually had any Batman characters where I'm like, no, that's not what he's supposed to look like. Because like a lot of people did it with Jared Leto as Joker. I actually liked Jared Leto's look.
But that's what I was about to say, because like I learned from my mistake with Heath Ledger, with his performance and how he presented it. To like, all right, they cast Jared Leto as Joker, and they released the first image. I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to roll it. Fuck it, let's go. I want to see him.
Let's see how this goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, everyone complained about Jared Leto Joker. However, the biggest complaint they had was they didn't see enough of him.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that means he was good. That means he was good. You wanted to see more of him.
But people complain as if like this is a fucking bad thing. Like he's the worst thing ever. It's like, no. He's appeared in a multicast film. Big, like the Suicide Squad is like, there's already a lot of cast there, and you're trying to shoehorn Joker in there for the sake of a fucking subplot. Yeah. Whereas like, instead of doing that, they should have just like kept Joker out and alluding to him. He could show up at the end to break her out at the end, and then you can go from there, especially to lead into the emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
With the Birds of Prey.
Because he had actually gotten fired and they couldn't use him in the film at all then.
Actually, no, he didn't get fired. He's still under contract.
They're not going to use him though, isn't it? Because didn't he like lose his shit over fucking Joaquin Phoenix's Joker?
He lost his shit, but you have to take into account, like, this is a guy that says that he doesn't watch back his films. So how are you going to know?
And this is also
how are you gonna know what's cut out of a film if you haven't watched it?
That's it. And this is also the same guy who went off on a 3-month spiritual retreat with his cult into the middle of nowhere and didn't know about the coronavirus.
Yeah, so it's so
Yeah.
he's not particularly like all there in the head, but
No.
he has not been fired. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
He's still under contract with Warner Brothers.
Right.
So they could use him for a different character down the line.
Mm.
It'd be the
Well,
same thing
now
that they've done with Marvel, where they've
I'll give you
recast some.
I'll give you a fun fact. Actually, I only learned this fact yesterday after we were talking, and I've been dying to tell you. Marlon Wayans,
Yes,
one of the Wayans brothers. He was apparently originally cast to play Robin.
really.
And then they didn't use him. They ended up using Chris O'Donnell as Robin. And he got hired for the 2 movies, and he signed the contract, and they never fired him. They just said, you know what, we're going to pay you, but we're not going to actually use you. All right? He still gets royalties for those movies and still gets paid for it, even though they never used them.
Damn! Oh,
Yeah,
what a
he did it.
look!
I seen a video of him yesterday, and he did an interview, and they asked him what was the easiest paycheck he ever got, and he said it was Robin. And everyone was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "I got hired to play Robin, and they never used me in the films, and I still get royalty checks for it."
If you don't believe me, here's the contract. There you go.
I can't believe it. There's the contract.
But
Yeah, I've been dying to tell you that.
What an ace in the hole that is! It's just like,
Oh my god.
I'm making that DC money, and you're never gonna know about it.
Yeah, you're never gonna know about it. But just to circle back to this new Batman film real quick.
Yeah.
The only bit of information that I've gotten about this Batman film that I do not like, I'm usually like, I'm like, okay, let's see where it goes, let's see what happens. The only bit of information that I've gotten about this film that I'm literally like, nope, this is bullshit. Supposedly, Batman's parents are alive.
Now, I'm willing to roll with the fact that like this is a different universe. If they're planning on going that route, then
it would have to be.
Because I imagine they're as sick of it as we are to see a fucking origin story again and again. Basically, a Spider-Man repeat.
I don't. But here's the thing, though. I mean, maybe this is just me, but I don't think you need a Batman origin story.
No, you don't.
You've seen it a million times. Just take the Batman story, like the Michael Keaton ones. He's already Batman.
Yeah,
he's already Batman. He's set up. He knows what he's doing, and he's going after somebody.
And you got glimpses of different things.
And you got glimpses of it. So you don't need to do the glimpses of the origin story. You can a simple, scene where he's looking at a photograph of his parents. Boom, we know what story is. We're okay. We're good.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it half the movie again.
Or like with Batman v Superman, where they actually did that sequence at the opening credits. The opening credits is literally like that scene, and that's it. We're done. We got by it. That's it. Done. So we're not tormenting
we're now in the future. We're good to go. It's not something that's needed anymore when you do a Batman film, because Batman's a household name. Everyone knows who the fuck Batman is.
Although so it's not. Sorry to call you, but like with that opening scene, like how much would you want to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan play Batman in the Flashpoint version of him?
Oh my god!
Like think of that.
Oh my god, it'd be so good.
Like that was just like a wet dream for like a big fan of that Flashpoint universe. It's like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne. God damn! This is good. This is good.
And he's even come out and said, like, when he got asked at a Comic-Con about that before, and he said he would do it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
I would love to see that, like an older, grizzled, but Thomas Wayne, who's not afraid to kill. And then you have what was her name from Maggie from The Walking Dead as Martha Wayne, who potentially could play Joker.
Yeah.
So like the idea of that is just like, wow. Yeah. I want to see that film.
I mean, for me, it would actually be a 2-film thing. And the way I would do a 2-film thing, I'd do Flashpoint as the first film. And the second one would be actually the, have you read the comics of the DC Watchmen crossover?
I've read bits of it. I haven't read the whole lot, but I
So
get the gist.
yeah, so the story is they find like Batman finds a Watchman button,
Yeah,
and him and Flash are investigating it, and Flash is off doing something, and I'm gonna spoil like little bits here and there for you,
it's fine.
but spoiler alert. But yeah, so Batman throws the button onto the countertop, and a spark of blue lightning comes out of it and hits him in the chest. So he calls Flash and says, "Hey, this just happened," and Flash says, "Okay, I'll be there in a minute." And in the space of this next minute, right, is like half the movie, essentially. And it's where Reverse Flash, Edward Thawne comes in.
He returns.
Zoom comes in, he returns, beats the shit out of Batman, and tries to take the coin, or the badge, to say. And he's holding it, and he squeezes it really hard, and he vibrates it to take it. And next thing you know, he just vanishes, and he comes back instantaneously, and he starts melting and shit.
Yeah,
like, I saw God, I saw God, I saw God. And when I read that, I read that in the first comic book.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it kicked off.
That's cool. And I was like, what happened? So I went online and started reading the other ones. And what it actually turns out is they end up going on the Flash's treadmill. Batman goes with him, and they end up in Flashpoint again. And
So
Batman
Bruce
meets
gets
Thomas.
to meet his father.
Bruce meets Thomas Wayne, and both of them fight Flash because both of them think it's fake, which is really cool. So both of them end up working together to attack Flash because they think Flash is trying to trick them.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very, very interesting. But then there's that whole story arc there. Then they end up coming back, but when they come back, they end up losing the button, which is hilarious. They lose it in the Speed Force. And then it just ends up in like a hallway somewhere. And then at the end of it, you just see, they don't tell you the end of it.
Yeah, go for it.
Spoiler alert, anyone who's won on the end of it, skip ahead 10 seconds. There's a button on the floor, and Mr. Manhattan, or Dr. Manhattan, walks up and just picks it up and goes, I was looking for that, and just keeps going. So, yeah, Dr. Manhattan is going to be apparently in the DC universe now.
Yeah, he was.
So
I knew he was being set up as potentially the big villain for that crossover event.
Yeah,
it was a way of bringing the Watchmen into the DC continuity.
Yeah, which is so cool.
Yeah, like that film itself is just fantastic. Like Zack Snyder did a fucking fantastic job with that.
I haven't watched the TV show yet, though.
Haven't watched the TV show, but I've heard good things, and
yeah,
I'm gonna wait, and then I'll get around to watching it. Don't know.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hang off it because I just did, like I said, in part one, I did the Harry Potter binge, so I'm kind of taking a break from the binges right now because that was a pretty intense one to do. So I'm gonna take a break from that for a couple of days, and then I'll try binge it. I want to binge Titans. I've watched maybe 3 episodes of it.
I've watched the 4th season.
I want to binge it.
I've watched the 4th season. Really enjoyed it. Definitely finished the season. I'm trying to gear myself up to go and watch season 2 because it is on Netflix. And I'm just it's there, but it's like,
I'm gonna watch it now at some point. Because the missus might be going back to work soon because she's a sports massage therapist. Mm-hmm. She has her own clinic here downtown, so she might be going back to work soon. So when she goes back to work, I might start watching it.
Start binging.
Play. That's gonna be the plan, but we'll see how that goes anyway.
Do you know what? I'm actually shocked that because this has been I'm not gonna say once off because we probably will do it again down the line.
Oh, we probably will do this again. Yeah.
Yeah. But I am surprised you haven't tried to shoe in your advertisements for people.
Oh my god! I was going to do that towards the end. I thought you were going to give me the opportunity to do that at the end. No.
Oh, you can still do that. We will. But I'm surprised. I don't have advertisements. I just.
Well,
if it happens naturally,
it's all about making that money, dude.
I know.
No, I do advertisements for people. But I don't make money off them. I just do them for fun.
Exactly.
Just for shits and giggles. I'll do one for the girlfriend and her clinic,
and for Torture
which is funny. And I do one for Torture Chamber as well. The only one that I do get something from is Squared Circle Apparel. It's the only one I get something from. Because I'm a sponsored athlete by them. So they basically send me free merch to wear, and I get paid basically to wear their fucking shit. So
That's
go
the
to
dream.
squaredcircleapparel.com and use Adam Ace as your discount code. You get 15% off.
There you go.
But yeah, it's they actually have some really nice shit. I literally did a workout earlier this morning and I was wearing their shorts for it, and they were fucking amazing. But don't tell them I said that. But yeah, no, dude, it's cool. I mean, I'll throw in advertisements every now and again. But the program that I use for my podcast, there's a thing in it where you can actually make money off of advertisements.
Yeah.
And you get to pick the advertisement and where it goes in on your podcast.
Oh, nice.
So I was tempted to just like film one or two, maybe later on today or tomorrow, and just see what it's like. Like I might do it, set it up, and actually see how it works and play around with the software a little bit. I might do it. I don't know. I'll see. I mean, I don't want to. I know I'm not going to make fucking hundreds of dollars off a fucking high stakes podcast. You know what I mean? But I don't do it for views or. I don't do the podcast for it because I don't check my listeners. I don't check the views on them. I just literally I record it, I edit it, and I post it. Once it's posted, I forget about it. And the reason why I do that is it's more like a therapy for me, just to get all the shit in my head out, And it's a fun way to do it essentially. And now everyone can do it, and anyone in the world can listen to it. I had some guy from where the hell was he? Russia somewhere. Was it Russia or Uruguay? He was from Uruguay, and he messaged me in like his language. I don't know what the fuck on my High Stakes Podcast Instagram page, and he sent me a message on it, and I was like, "What the hell is it?" I Google translated it, and it was like, "Hey, thanks for posting up a new episode." Because I posted a new episode yesterday. "Hey, thanks for posting a new episode. I've been waiting for this for ages." And I was like, "Who the hell is this lad? Never heard of him before in my life. Just some random dude in Uruguay." I was like, "Why is there some dude in Uruguay listening to my podcast? Some Irish guy living in Canada's podcast about wrestling and movies."
You never know who could be listening to the podcast and could have the same interests or just want to hear someone else's opinion on these subjects. Don't know. So
that's it. I mean, and I always just kind of vomit my own opinions, but not, if someone doesn't agree with it, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
don't have to.
like yourself. I've no advertisements. I usually let people just advertise their stuff at the end of the show or throughout the show, and it. As I said to you last night, this is just for me to interact with friends that I don't normally get to regularly. So that's why. Yeah. And I like doing it.
What's funny is now with the whole Zoom thing, which makes it easier for multiple people to talk on calls and stuff. What I am thinking is, and this is going to be a potential route down the road if we can manage it. I'm thinking maybe we should do an episode of either Foxy Bros or the High Stakes Podcast or both, where it's me, you, and Joey Farrell all talking together.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I'm managing to drag him onto an episode on Wednesday.
So
it's going to be myself, him, and Fran. You remember Fran, don't you?
Oh, I remember Fran Burke.
Yeah,
he was a good kid. Yeah, he's a really good lad.
So and it was actually Fran that proposed it, said it. It's it'd be deadly for me, you, and Joey to get one. I was like,
yeah.
Actually, I'll fucking ask him because I'm not doing that, and so
yeah.
So luckily enough, so
I might shoot a message and say, hey, do you want to do a podcast with me and?
Man, Linda's going mental because he's getting asked now a lot to do podcasts.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And normally he's the person that's he's not really into it, but he likes being asked.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he doesn't like to do it, but he likes to. It's I don't want to go to the party, but I like to be invited, kind of thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which is fun, but it's also driving Linda mad because she's not getting asked to do them.
Oh my god! You know what? I could totally ask her because I was gonna actually ask. There was two girls here that I'm good friends with, and I was going to ask her, or the two of them, because they're actually the wives of wrestlers. So I was gonna get a couple of people on to be like, what's it like to be the partner of a wrestler kind of episode.
That's actually very interesting.
I was like, well, because that's a side of things people don't really get to see very often.
Yeah, so people like seeing hearing the wrestler's point of view, but that's a perspective that's not really done.
That's it. So I was tempted to do an episode like that, get a couple of people on, a couple of guys, a couple of girls that are partners to wrestlers, and be especially if I could get either a girl or a guy who's a partner with a female wrestler, because they, naturally speaking, women would have a harder time in wrestling than guys do.
Yes.
So I'd be curious to see how either guys or female partners of the girls actually deal with that and knowing what they have to go through when they're female wrestlers. So it'd be interesting, like an interesting serious episode, I'll say.
Yeah, like
But
it'd be a good thing
yeah.
to see. Like obviously because like predominantly it's male, but there are a few female like wrestlers scattered there. It'd be nice to get the perspective of the partners, where it's like, all right, it's their wives or husbands. So it'd be nice to get that little mix. Is like,
That's
okay,
it.
what's different for you being the partner of a female wrestler as opposed to you being a partner of a male wrestler?
Exactly. And like there's a couple here that I'm friends with, and one of them is she's a manager, and the other one is actually in a tag team, and she doesn't manage them; she manages somebody else. So I'm like, oh, that I'd like to do an episode where I get him on, and then he leaves, and then I get her on.
That'd be good.
And just to see how we can play that dynamic a little bit. So yeah, because like I said yesterday, I'm thinking of going a little more in depth into the podcast now, and I want to do more. I want to do more movie reviews. I want to do more TV show reviews and game nerdy reviews on things. But I also want to review some wrestling stuff as well. But because wrestling's a bit quieter these days, I want to do more of that stuff as well. But I also want to get like more serious episodes like that of what's it like on this side of wrestling or on that side of wrestling, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, this has been incredibly fun to do. It's been awesome to fucking catch up. We don't do it as often as we should, but like,
I do enjoy seeing your ugly mug on my computer screen as much as I deny it. I do enjoy it.
No, it is like it's cool to fucking catch up every so often, it really is.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, and it's good to see someone from back home as well, which is fun because you don't get to hear the accent very often. You don't get to see the faces very often, so it is good to see people from back home as well.
That's one thing I wanted to say to you. You're kind of losing your Irish accent.
I am in my left testicle losing my Irish accent. People keep constantly saying to me, "Oh my god, your accent is so strong. Your accent is so strong." I'm like, "Fuck, right off." My accent is it's probably just because it's over a filtered fucking microphone thing. But my missus is constantly giving me shit. She's from Essex in England.
Yes.
So she's constantly fucking giving me shit about having a typical Dublin accent. But I'm like, for fuck's sake. But no, like people here, they speak really Canadian, and they're French Canadian here. So everyone speaks a little bit of French twang. So I'm like trying very hard not to pick that up. I'm actively trying to pick that up, or actually not trying to pick it up, I should say. Even though I am trying to learn French, but I'm trying to learn with an Irish accent, which means no one's going to understand what I'm saying. So, but no, I got to keep my Irish accent. I got to keep that strong.
You got to try anyway. Try to.
Yeah.
But certain words that you say, it does like it's gone. It's not there.
If I start losing it, I'm just gonna watch an episode of Love Hate and I'll be fine.
There you go.
Or Fair City. There you go.
Yeah, Fair City would be a good go-to.
They teach Irish English, as in like how to speak like an Irish person, how to speak English like an Irish person in Asia by showing them episodes of Fair City.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Fun fact for you. Fun fact.
Now, as we come to a close, is there anything you would like to plug for on my side?
Let's see. Torture Pro Wrestling Dojo. Give them a check out if you're ever interested in wrestling in Canada. Oh my God, is there anything I want to plug on your side? Adam Mace. Hey, go follow Adam Mace and the High Stakes podcast and all that sort of stuff. Like, subscribe, listen, all that beautiful stuff. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, Twitter, all that beautiful stuff as well. Maybe tune into the Foxy Bros podcast every now and again. Any episodes besides me is probably a good episode. You never know. OTT as well. Go see an OTT show when they're back up and running. But for now, everyone needs to stay home and stay safe. Oh my God, what else do we need to plug? I'm gonna plug the missus because I kind of.
Yes, I was about to say is like she'd probably kill you if you didn't.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm gonna plug the missus, but like she lives in Canada. Who the fucking Ireland's gonna get a massage of a girl in Canada?
You never know. They could be traveling over to Canada. Don't know when thing opens up.
Right. So if you guys come to Canada, go to JSMT_MTL. It's Jay Salter Massage Therapy. She does do incredible work. I have to admit. You might even remember, but like back in the day when I was wrestling, my hips were fucked. Ever since Zack Sabre Jr., my hips have never been right. And yeah, I had some sort of weird twisting in my hips, and 3 1-hour sessions with her. I had that for 5 years I went to numerous people to fix it. They couldn't fix it. 3 sessions with her, my hips have never felt better. Ever.
That's good.
I feel absolutely fantastic. There's a guy I know here, and basically he's been living and wrestling for 4 years now with a dislocated hip.
Ouch. So you've heard it here first. She can definitely get the job done. She's good at what she does.
Name or your sex tape. That's a common game. It's a common game in this house. Yeah, no, you can, like, if you're ever there getting a massage, or if you need any kind of a treatment, even if you like, here's a fun one for you. If you're ever just sore and you don't know what to do, or you're in chronic pain, hit her up on Instagram. It's JSMT_MTL. Hit her up on that and just ask her. 9 times out of 10 she will respond. She'll let you know what the story is. Even she might even give you a directional video on how to do it yourself, especially now in the quarantine stuff, because you need to be able to look after yourself. She's doing a lot of that stuff on her page. She even has her own website for all that sort of stuff as well, so go check it out. But yeah, also check out the High Stakes podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and all that beautiful stuff. And adamace.tcprodojo on Instagram. There you go. Plugs done.
Done, son.
Go Team Actimel.
Yeah. So as we come to a close, there's the plugs done.
Yeah, we're done. Do you want to plug anything on my side? I'm gonna.
Fuck it. Check out. I run a merchandise store on Facebook. It's Foxy Bros foxybros.retailer on facebook.com. We sell all sorts of goodies like comics, games, DVDs, anime merchandise, pixel art. So like, if you don't see it, we'll try and get it. But other than that, you can check us out on Instagram. It's foxnile at instagram.com, and foxnile23 at Twitter if you need any info. So
that's for
listen to the Foxy Bros podcast on Facebook or anywhere you can get your podcasts. So
that's it. See, that's for the vaulted episode of the High Stakes podcast that'll come out maybe in 6 months' time.
Who knows?
Reboost in Foxy Bros. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Could happen. You never know.
Word of mouth helps. And on that note,
and name of your sex tape.
And on that note, I have been your host, Noel Fox, aka Foxy, and I've been joined by.
He's looking at me by so many names. Adamace, just go Adamace.
Okay, yeah. I've been joined by the ace man, Adamace of the High Stakes podcast. Go listen to it, and goodbye. Bye-bye.